right, yes, another beautiful day here in the Rock City of Abeokuta. Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM, the voice of the people, Citizens Forum this morning. Well, I don't know, there should be some of these young ones, I don't expect them to have forgotten a name like Beck or Ransom Kuti so soon. I know many of them will still remember the likes of Fela Anikulapo Kuti, maybe via his song, and of course the son Femi Anikulapo Kuti. I also do not expect Nigerians, even the teenagers, to forget so soon the name Gani Faweimi, Alao Akabashorun. You may not remember many of those ones. There's a young man who also died some years ago, decades, Chima Ubani. The likes of these people, I'm talking even Professor Akonde, Jadesola Akonde, these are meritoriously on their own right activists who will not wait for anyone to go out and challenge government at any level when things are not going right, even at the risk of their own life. But today, even on this platform, on the streets daily, we so to say moan about bad governance, about the National Assembly, about leaders who are self-centered and not doing what you, the people, expect them to do or what you have asked them to do. Well, interestingly, on the 10th of February, this weekend, Bekor and Son Kuti, it will have been 12 years since that. Even as a medical doctor, you may never know that he was a medical doctor because he's always there. On several occasions, then I think shortly even before he died in 2000, there was this walkout from Yaba to Alausa. Shortly, that should be about 3-4 months before he died. He was there physically. These names and so many more really do not wait for people to move before they move people. And then we do not even need or have to wait for political parties in opposition to play the role of opposition. These are pressure groups, genuine pressure groups. But alas, today, well, let me stop at this point. We'll be looking at the role of coalition, the role of civil service and right groups in political parties and governance in Nigeria. Issue prologue to 2019. And of course, specific reference to the life and times of Beko Ransom Kuti. Dele Ayodo is my name.
And I am Chienye Egwuonwu saying good morning, and that is exactly what we will be looking at on Citizens Forum this morning, the pro-democracy group and the rights advocacy groups concerning the 2019 elections.
Yes, and we have one of them who is still active here with us. Age-wise, he's not he's still younger than those I've mentioned, but by experience, I'm sure he also has a basket full, so to say, in terms of the struggle and agitation in the direction in which we are talking. Debo Adeniran, you are welcome to the Daybreak
Show. It's my pleasure being with you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
All right. First and foremost, let's start. The names I've mentioned, Bekor and so, even Fela himself and all those ones. If they were alive, I've heard people ask that question. What do you think they would be saying the way things are going on in Nigeria today?
Well, thank you very much once again. We know that Beko came from a family of activists. The father of his father, his great-grandfather, was an activist, a clergy. His father was a clergyman, was a principal of a secondary school where, the former head of state, Olusegun Obasanjo, attended. Fela attended the same school and Beko attended the same school. And from there, they were rebellious. There was no doubt about that. And but they were rebellious with a cause, even during those heydays. Now their father was the progenitor of the NUT, and their mother was also an activist. So, but then when they grew up, when they got out of school, each one of them went their own way. They also have a sister, Dolu, who was also an activist in her own right. So they went their different ways, but it's a graphic example of unity in diversity. Their eldest brother Olikoye was a he was a professor of pediatrics, and the fellow was to study medicine when he went to England, but he turned out to study music. Beko studied medicine and practiced medicine when he came, and he became an officer of NMA, secretary, then chairman of Lagos State, and so on and so forth. Then he now had to engage in cooperative endeavor with MBA, and especially during the time of Alao Akabashoron as the president of Nigeria Bar Association. All of them are late, but before they came was a gentleman called Kamin Shola Oshobu. That was the first people's lawyer. So he also did more free services to the people, than paid services. So if they were alive today, Nigeria wouldn't have been the same.
People like Hassan Sumano are still alive.
Hassan Sumano is still alive in Osun State and still kicking. There are a few people whose history we would not want to remember. There is another form, I think is the one who came after another NSC president who came after Hassan Sumano. That was Pascal Bavyao. Pascal Bavyao of a kind of memory which may not be so pleasant, is maybe a traitor, because he betrayed the Nigerian people severally. He became the president of NSC through certain, controversial circumstances. Under controversial circumstances, he was there, and at a stage, he became an appendage of the ruling, military oligarchy. And several times he will called the members of NSC on the street and cut it off, at a stage when maybe he had been settled. And the climax of it came in 1990, around September, when we tried to hold what we call a national conference. We couldn't get sovereign national conference before then, even when it was sovereign national conference we wanted. Then Pascal Bavyao pretended to be with the Patriots. Then we have the Patriots, we have the Hawks. The Hawks were those in the government side, led by Philip Asiedu, the former petroleum minister. When we were agitating for sovereign national conference, they came up with a publication in the paper that they also wanted sovereign national conference. But their own version of sovereign national conference was watered down far beyond what we wanted, but all the same we decided that we are going to go along, knowing full well that if we got to the arena, the people knew what they wanted. But because of the agitation that now follow our own side, that is the side of the Patriots, the Philip Asiedu's side now chicken out. Now Bavyao with NSC was still with the Patriots, thinking that we will carry on even when the government side has chicken out. But then at the 11th hour, that is on 2nd of September, Pascal Yao gave a notice that they are no longer participating in the national conference because the government says they don't want it. Now, that was the last straw that broke the camel's back. The Patriots still decided, under the leadership of late Alao Akabashoron, that we were going to hold the conference at all costs. Then the government moved swiftly. They sealed off the venue, that is the National Theatre in Egwuonwu, and they didn't allow the conference to hold there. But we moved the conference back to NSC. From NSC, we moved it to Ghani's Chambers, and the summary of the papers were published. So what we were saying about Bavyao was that he had the opportunity of righting the wrong, because his name would have been in the golden side of history, but he kind of wasted that opportunity, and the national conference didn't hold. and Nigeria still remained the way it remained. But what Babangida was planning, of course, the bargaining point was that he gave NSC some buses, which turned out to be money in the hands of the leadership of the NSC, and that's what they call mass transit something, which went moribund, even before Pascal died. Now, he also wanted him to become the vice president to MKO Abiola, and it was because of Pascal Baviao that several politicians were actually banned by Babangida regime. Several political associations were also banned during that period, clearing way for Ekenjibe, Abiola, emergence of them, and Bashir Tofa, who contested under NRC. And so, because Abiola was not so comfortable with Pascal Baviao, that was the beginning of the end of Abiola. And Baviao also knew what he did, to sabotage the interest of Abiola. But then he didn't hold water at the polling booths, because Baviao actually wanted to move the labor force, out of SDP, but the rank and file members of the labor forces decided that they are going to vote for SDP because of the track record of the presidential candidate then, that was MK Abiola. But Abiola so the betrayal actually started from within, not to talk about what the military did. Now, you ask if they were alive today. Beko, Koye, even Koye within government of Babangida then, try his best on this primary healthcare system. He ensured that the government established them and they funded it, and he ensured that everybody worked. That was this. It's not that they just established it just to grandstand. So everybody had to work, and the children had to survive. And that is when they are kicking polio out of Nigeria, kicking malaria and several other preventable diseases. So then you now look at Fela. Fela used the instrumentality of music to fight all the bad government. Fela didn't start as an activist. He didn't start with protest songs. He started with regular, high life, with Kula Lobito. It was purely high life, almost like Ike Dairo and the rest of them. But when his house was burnt, he marshalized the premises where the hospital of his younger brother was, where his mother also resided, and all of that. Everything was raised down. Misika studio, everything was raised down. So it became enraged, with anger, and started the protest song the way it has never been sung before. So Fela will have done several songs that would typify the profligacy and the lackadaisical attitude of the present systems. Since 1999, we have not been lucky to have a very good government that think more of the people than with those in government. So now back to Beko. Beko was a forthright person, somebody very, very truthful, very, very committed. Wole Soyinka professor, called him the bravest of the brave. Beko doesn't even recognize what they call fear. If you carry gun, carry bayonet, carry everything, he will ask you, is it just because of us carrying just sheets of paper that you are doing all of this? As a matter of fact, when certain people were unjustly detained in the prison, Kirikiri maximum prison, Beko was the treasurer of Odua People's Congress. He went there. He said, look, you don't need to detain all of these small fries. We are the leaders of OPC. Why don't you just release them and detain us? That I am the treasurer, and I can bring all the leadership of OPC into this prison if you want me to bring them. That I'm ready to. When there was that march, you said that people were to march on Alausa. He fell down. He collapsed a couple of times. He rose up and said that he's going to continue. But you have to talk in terms of also those who contributed, like Dr. Taisho was also like that, very tenacious when it comes to the struggle for the people. And when you also talk about NSC, you talk about the days of Pa Michael Imodu. You know, Pa Michael Imodu also contributed greatly to the foundation upon which NSC was laid. If all others like Baviao had allowed, that foundation to, allow good structure, solid structure to be built on that foundation, NSC would not be in three pieces that we have there.
Okay,
so basically,
let's
they would have actually mobilized Nigerian people outside the NSC, because NSC under Pastor Baviao was disappointing the people by the way they call off strikes. We started what we call LASCO, Labor Civil Society Coalition. We have JAF, that's a Joint Action Front, being the civil society side, and labor centers being the labor. So we now cooperate that, look, if the leadership of labor is not going to play the game of the people, then we look for rank and file member industrial unions that are ready to go with the people. And that was how we formed LASCO. But in the days of Babangida and Abdusalami Abacha actually rubbished everything, and a lot of division came, and that could not continue the way we planned. So, but then the people would have moved on their own because of the mobilization skill of these people. Chima Obanin, as you mentioned, was one of the intellectual powerhouse of the struggle, and we have several of them like that, like Baba Omojola. Baba Omojola also contributed. As a matter of fact, it was his office, which was adjacent to Lara Kabashonu's office, that was the secretariat of CD and all those in the heydays of struggles in the early 90s. So Baba left everything that he had, just like
this is my question. All these stories, all these names mentioned are decades ago.
Exactly.
Some are sold as 20 years. 2018, 2017, 18, and maybe into 2019. If you look at events now, is it not that the struggles, sacrifices, and all these stories about these people you have told are now in vain?
Well, it is saddening to the extent that most of the earliest generation of activists contributed so much, and their expectation was that maybe after 10, because the history of civil society actually dated back to a very recent thing, apart from professional bodies. Talking about NGOs and CSOs, just at middle 80s downwards here, and the energy that was put in then, it was that maybe by the 10th year, maybe around 1994, 2004, Nigeria will have, the system will have changed. But what we have been having is regime change, in change of baton from one regime to the other, but the system has not changed. And that is what we are witnessing in 2018 that we have. It's very sad. And that has made a number of people who otherwise would have been in the forefront of the struggle to relapse into their little corners, or recoil into their shell, because the labors of our hero past are going down the drain in vain, with all the vanity that accompanies it. Now, it was easier to mobilize in the early and middle 80s than in the this 21st century, because a lot of people have been cornered by the powers that be, and people have been impoverished, and some have been over enriched. So all of these extremes have contributed to the fact that those that are well enriched are too rich and comfortable to struggle. Those that are impoverished are too weak and hungry to struggle. And it now becomes difficult for mobilization to be made by the few honest activists that are around. Many CSOs have been set up as a booby trap for those who want to engage in struggle. And many of those who are lily-livered have been cowed, by caregivers, by threats of arrest, prosecution for trump up charges. So the successive regime, who knew that they would be brought to justice eventually if they allow free hand for the activists to operate, would not allow the organization to survive. If you recently, since 1999, hardly will you get grants, that we that will allow CSO to confront the powers that be. They will only give, though the funders will only give grants that will support the activities of the same rogue regime that we are supposed to fight. Now, if those grants are not coming, the job that activists are relying on is no longer, enough to feed them, not to talk of leaving room for struggle. And when you look at the economy, it has affected everybody. It has collapsed so many industries. Those that are earning salary could not rely on their salary anymore. They have to add other things. Now, you want to go to farming, the herdsmen are there. You want to go to industry, the power will be failing. You want to move your good from one point to the other, the roads are failing. You want to, you fall sick, or your family members fall sick, the hospitals are no mortuary. It's becoming mortuary. So all of this has contributed to the lethargic attitude of people to struggle. It may not be their fault, but those of us who are younger, very young, in the early 80s, we have become adults. We have responsibilities. We have children in universities. The universities are not functioning well. You have to provide everything that your child needs. No water, no power, no nothing. Not like in the olden days. So you have to think of that. Now, if you go on the street and you were brought down, there's no medical facility to treat you, then your children will drop out of school because the state, the government is not taking care of such. Then you have old folks, in the villages and all that. No facilities to take care of them. So when you think of all of this, you will not want to blame many of those who decided not to go into activism.
All right, we'll take this short break. We will come back. It's still the Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM, Citizens Forum this morning. Debo Adeniran. Your own is COCAL, C-O-C-L, am I correct?
CACOL. Yeah. Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership.
CACOL. When we come back, he's still going to be with us. We are looking at right activism and civil rights groups in Nigeria towards 2019. Well, he's given us some of the reasons, but is it that those who are now leading that fight, are they too comfortable to fight, or are they too poor to fight? Let's take this short music break. We'll come back. All right, thanks for being there. There are so many, not just African soldiers, Nigerian soldiers, like our guest have mentioned, and we are trying to do, well, if you say reminiscent, or what have we lost when they have gone. Debo Adeniran is the convener of CACOL.
Yes.
All right. Okay, Chienye, you have a question for him?
Okay, yes. I was going to ask, we now have some opposing political parties that are being formed now, forming different coalition now in Nigeria. And then can we now say that the pro-democracy should also form a coalition so that they can have a substantial effect on making elections transparent?
Sorry, before you answer, let me just tell you, the listener, keep sending your messages to the different platforms. Short code 32120, our Twitter handle at Rock City FM, of course on the Facebook. We will take them as they come in. Start sending them.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, it is not new that people form coalition, because if you remember, there was what we call Campaign for Democracy. Before Campaign for Democracy was National Consultative Forum. It was actually the conference I highlighted before was organized by what we call National Consultative Forum. That was in 1987, and we worked till 1990. Then later, the CDHR 1989, CLO actually came up in 1987. Then CDHR 1989, Ghana Fire Solidarity Association 1989. Then you have Campaign for Democracy 1990-1991. You have JACON, Joint Action Congress 1992, 93, and all that. All of these, most of them are actually coalitions. The reason why we formed coalitions was that the professional bodies were becoming lethargic, and because they were registered by the government was controlling their high ranking members, so they could not speak with one voice. They could not speak as clearly as we wanted. Their voices was muzzled. So we started all these NGOs in the early middle 80s. Now coalition, CD became one, the first prominent coalition, because when CDHR could not proceed alone, CLO could not proceed alone, there was a constitutional rights project. They couldn't proceed alone. They formed a mini coalition. Then with Ghana Fire Solidarity Association, with Fellas MOP, Movement of the People, then NANS, ASU, we came together to form what we call Campaign for Democracy. But then the tenure of Campaign for Democracy didn't last long. It was broken, maybe by infiltration of men of the underworld. That's what we call government agents in those days. So Campaign for Democracy broke, and you have a DA, Democratic Alternative, which transmuted to a political party. Now, the present day, you have a movement, for, what do they call it now? Then you have Coalition for Nigeria, which was championed by former governor of Lagos and Osun State, Chief Olagunseyi Oyinlola, and that of Cross River State, Donald Duke. Then, well, they said the pattern is after what was suggested by the former presidents, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, Chief Dr. Olusegun Obasanjo. And what you find is opportunism, when you look through that coalition, because these are people who have had the opportunity of proving their own mettle in the political arena, in the public offices. We didn't see the outcome of it. When Oyinlola was here, was in Lagos, his cry was there was no bitumen and every road became dilapidated. Now, he couldn't even clear the rubbish on the way. He didn't do anything. And he actually complained, because Beko and I visited him when he was military administrator. He complained. Then I actually asked him, because we attended the same school, we was in grammar school, Okuku, he was my senior. So I asked him, Senior, why don't you just resign? He said, if you resign, you will be court-martialed. I said, well, you have to take up the gauntlet. That was what Debo Adeniran did. Debo Adeniran was actually a cousin to the late Alawa Kabashon. He's still alive now. Now, Debo Adeniran had to run away because because Babangida wanted to mow him down, since he refused to be a carrier of a message of death. So he ran away, and they said he deserted. And as a matter of fact, maybe about 5 years ago, there was still an advert that they are still seeking him out, looking for him. But then that will not stop him from doing his activism in his own way. So basically, I told Oyinlola, you can run away too. He said, no, he can do that. If they caught him, they will kill him. I said, look, you join the army not knowing that you will survive the initial stages. Now you became an officer, you became a political head of a state. Why can't you just give it up, and your history would have been golden? But he couldn't do all that. Then he became the governor of Osun State. What did he do in Osun State? Nothing. He only partied. There's a place there's a resort in Ada, in Osun State, where every weekend there must be a big party.
Is it still as lively as it was?
So Ada is no longer as lively as the golf course died with the regime of that Oyinlola. Now they are the ones who wanted to chart a course for Nigerians. They are opportunistic political leaders that should not be countenanced. Do you want to talk about Baba Obasanjo, who had opportunities since 1975-76 when he was military head of state? What he did was to corner the commanding height of southwestern economy for the federal government, because he had to dance to the tune of his superiors. Where we are not blaming him, but land use decree actually took away my grandfather's land, from my grandfather to the government, and today I don't have much say on. I don't have control over that land. Now, the port in Lagos would have been for southwestern region, but we can't control it because it has been taken away from us. Everything. Then when you look at farm settlement, that was created for the betterment of the people of southwestern region, it has been taken away from us, and several other things like that. The cocoa board and the marketing board that we used to have, what has become of them? In those days, if the price of cocoa was 12,000 naira or 15,000 pounds in the international market, Ayodo will buy it for 12 pounds from the farmers, making 3 pounds for the government. And if the price in the international market fell to about 10 pounds, he will still buy it at 12 pounds, so that the farmers were enriched. They were able to build their own house. They were able to take care of their social needs. But what did we have? That was destroyed by the Obasanjo regime. Now, farmers can no longer live as big as they should, and they work so hard and they earn too little. Now, is that the kind of party we have to do? Then when you look at the contest of Awolowo and Shagari, it was our Baba here that said that the best candidate might not win, and truly the best candidate did not win. Awolowo died before he was referred to as the best president that Nigeria never had. They go on and on several other. So these people that are coalescing are just coalescing to feather their own nest and deplete the nest of the ordinary members of this society. When you look at the other movement being championed by Olisa Agbakoba, it is also, well, to a very large extent, a last resort for them, because many of those that are in that coalition, in that movement, are those who have competed for one political office or the other and failed in their various political parties. Many of them have actually run political parties. Olisa Agbakoba ran Green Party, somebody ran DA, somebody ran NRP, wanted as president. He couldn't make it at the level of the party that he put together. Now, what they are doing, instead of them to champion the cause of the people like the CD did it in the olden days, they are now looking for political power. And many of those
that's where my question is. Those who champion it. You said earlier on during this program that some people are too rich, therefore becoming too comfortable to do any struggle. Exactly. Some are too poor, and we may want to say natural. But I remember clearly, like you said, Alaa Kabachonu was national president MBA, successful lawyer.
Yes,
Gani Fawemi, rich, successful lawyer. Of course, Beko, among his peers, respected, successful.
That's right.
The likes of Shego Okeowo, Akintunde Ojo, were just students. They did not even have job when they were leading the struggle and coalescing with those who have it. They were not, like you said, they were not relapsed by their wealth or by the prospect of their future. And yet they acted. But all those things have gone. So how? Why?
Now, let me tell you, Gani Fawemi was rich, very rich, but not too rich.
But at least comfortable.
He was comfortable. That's it. Alaa Kabachonu was comfortable. He didn't need to beg anybody. And Beko was also comfortable because, he was a contented person, and several of them like that. But things have changed. These days, people don't get rich by dint of hard work. Many of them now got rich by political patronages. In those days, those that are rich actually worked hard for it. But these days, you have to patronize one government, contract or the other, or services or the other, or launder money for those who have stolen it. Now, there have been a rope tied around their blockers, so that if if they should agitate too much, those in authority will pull those strings, and they know they won't be able to talk again. That is the kind of riches you have these days, and that is why they cannot talk. Now, poverty in those days was just personal poverty, but this one had become familiar poverty. It's a generational poverty, that to the extent that several graduates are looking forward to just one of them that got a job, and the jobs is not well paid for, and those who establish businesses do not have conducive atmosphere to run that businesses. He started producing children. He didn't know that this is the way economy will turn out to be. So everybody in the family are looking onto him. Unlike in those days, several things were still accessible. You still have a modicum of social services going on. The train services went moribund only very recently. People could still go to the northern part with train services in those days of Segun Okeowo, Aketunde Ojo, and the rest of them that you are talking about. Even in the days of Lanre Adogundade in Ife, students still ate, old chicken. They have access to laundry. They ice cream, fruit was just taken for granted in the hostel. Go there now. You used to have only 2 or 4 people, a maximum of 4 people in hostel. Today, you have more than 20 of them in the same room that was built for 4 in those days. So students were relatively more comfortable in those days than now. What led to some of this agitation? Because cost of food in school was raised up to 5 naira, per plate in those days. So there was agitation. But these days, things are not the same thing. Now, so those who only manage to remain in school are being warned by their parents that don't let the authority rusticate you.
All right, we must take this break to allow the 10 o'clock news to come up. Yes, Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM Citizens Forum this morning. We have a Debo Adeniran, right activist, national convener of CACO. With us, we are looking at the role of right activists and the diverse civil rights coalition in Nigeria today. Let me just say this. Sometimes in December, that was when 2017 was heading, there was this riot in Sudan. Do you know why? Because there was an increase in the price of bread. Yeah. Take note. We'll be back after the 10 o'clock news. All right. One way to avoid the palaver. That's what we are trying to do to ensure that we are on the right track all the time. This is very necessary for not just the individual growth, but for our national collective growth. Welcome, the Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM, Citizens Forum this morning. We are looking at the failing role, so to say, in quote now, of pro-democracy group and right activists, and we have Debo Adeniran with us. Yes, sir, keep sending your messages. We will treat them as they come in. 32120, that's for the short code. The Twitter handle is at Rock City FM, and our Facebook page, Rock City 101.9 FM. Yes, we'll take all your comments. We open the telephone lines too, 0809868734 and 0909146967.
Picking the calls. Please, what is the difference between the ruling class and the proletariat? That's from Olushola. He's asking that question. And then we have this from Sheyi. Please, sir, how can someone join Mr. Debo in his group or civil society? And then for the tweets via the Twitter handle, Oluwaseyi Emmanuel tweeted, "It's been wonderful having Debo Adeniran on board this morning after a long while. Please tell us why CSO's groups can't adopt a candidate, credible indeed, and sell it to Nigerians for election while ignoring the current political players." That's a question from Oluwaseyi Emmanuel. Billionaire Ajishafe also tweeted, "The present-day pro-democracy organization have transitioned to politicians. Chief Gani Fawemi stated a party NCP, Shehu Musa now a senator, and we the people will fight by revolution." Oluwaseyi tweeted again, "I put it to you, Mr. Debo, that this is an opportunity for CSO groups to take the bull by the horn and offer Nigerians better candidates for president. A Nigerian candidate which the CSOs will campaign for and make sure it wins away from the older ones. Sakar Rahman also tweeted, "Kudos to our guest in the studio. I think Nigeria needs to think twice about all these coalitions, the old wine in the new bottle. They can't beat us twice." Oluwaseyi tweeted again, "It's very clear from the onset that politicians will hijack the coalition for New Nigeria for their selfish interests. But I still wish the CSOs will take up the challenge now and put forward a candidate who is different from the older ones, particularly from the current political class." Sakaraman tweeted again, "Only God can save Nigeria populace. Even if government wants to do something tangible for all the populace, the dubious people will still block it. God bless Nigeria." Oluwaseyi tweeted again, "The CSO groups have been championing the cause for better Nigeria for a while, and it is time for them to produce an independent candidate for us in order to move us forward, while there are also conscious politicians who may infiltrate them. The time is now than never." Those are the tweets and messages that we have here for now.
Your reaction, Debo?
Yeah, thank you very much, all of you that have tweeted. Somebody asked about the difference between ruling class and the proletariat. Proletariats are the workers, they are the toilers, those that don't depend on government patronages, they don't engage in contractual, in taking contracts or in terms of good supply of goods and services. But the ruling class are those that that form our government and those that patronize them. So they have special privileges which they use to oppress others, and those that are working day and night to earn a living are unable to meet their social needs. So that is why you have the haves and the have-nots. Now, to join CACOL is not difficult, but because CACOL is a coalition of a sort, so we have individual members, we have organizational members. If you have an existing organization, you can apply to be a unit of CACOL, that's Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership. Now, if you are an individual and you want to be a member, you can also apply. You can get on the website, just search for CACOL. You are going to get the website, and you will be tutored on how to become a member. You liaise with people, but once you are up to 5 people in the same neighborhood, we constitute you to a unit. If you are outside Lagos, if you are in Lagos, you need 11 people to form a unit, of CACOL. You just discuss issues of corruption, identify corruption crimes, and report it to the headquarters. Then we will inaugurate you when we know that you are consistent. Then for activists or CSOs to sponsor candidates, look, somebody has just mentioned we have Shehu Sani, we have Adam Sosiomole, we have several of our comrades. We have a Kayode Oladele from Ogun State here. We have several of them who are activists, but they are unable to prove their mettle because there are too many people drawing the hands of the clock backwards than those that are pushing it forward. So it is like a case of a cart with square wheels. They cannot make any feasible impact. The reason being that under the present system, as a champion, as crystallized by the constitution, there is no activist that can make any serious impact because the constitution makes it compulsory that you have to belong to a political party. A political party has to be registered under this bourgeois constitution that monetizes everything. And when electoral system is monetized and it is allowed, because they say you can spend as much as 1 billion naira as a president, you can spend 100 million as governors, and so on and so forth. Those who have mega bucks, they know how to suppress those who don't have. So it is not the idea, it is not the wisdom you have in you that people are looking at. It is how deep your pocket is, and that is a kind of a prebender system where those who do not have material wealth are eliminated. So that system cannot favor the proletariat like somebody has just asked. You cannot, no matter how wise you are, no matter how knowledgeable you are, if you don't have good money. As a matter of fact, I think it was Adesanya Ogunlewe, the former Minister of Works and Housing, that said it, that if you are a poor man, sit down in your house, don't play politics. That is the politics of the bourgeoisie. Now, the system had to change before CSO can make, and the system changing means that there will be a national ideology. A national ideology will determine how much material accumulation that individual and corporate entities can put together and call theirs. If you have more than that, you will not have financial institutions that can support that. There is something that the present administration is doing towards that end, and that is the TSA thing, that you have to justify the sources of your income, so that if you have the BVN, if you have several accounts, all these accounts will be harmonized, and how much you have in totality will be known by the authority. And there is NFIU within the EFCC that monitors that. Then there is financial reconciliation committee or something like that. So there are so many authorities that will peer into your account through the instrumentality of BVN, which is good. Those who have laundered money, that's why they have to bury money or they put it in their roof, because they can no longer launder it the way they used to. The financial institutions are not going to support them, and if they catch you at the airport, you know the repercussion of it. So that is it. So if there is an upper ceiling into how much individuals can accumulate, then if you steal money, you won't be able to enjoy it. That is it. It is then that you discover that they will spend money for what they need to spend it on. There will be good road network, there will be power supply, there will be healthcare services, there will be education for children, there will be care for the aged and the too young and all that. So if we have that kind of system, then the true ideology of the people can be implemented. But under this present system, even if you want to implement this lofty idea, look at what Awolowo did. When certain elements came, they confiscated everything that he has done. WNTV, WMBC was established for the Western Nigeria, and it was taken over by the federal government under Obasanjo. The Liberty Stadium, University of Ife, Cocoa House in Ibadan, all of these were done from Cocoa money. He didn't accumulate them for himself. He had farm settlements in Okeogun, in several places like that. He set up what I said the other time, the produce marketing board and the rest of them, helping farmers to market their cash crops and all that. What do we have today? You are on your own. If you cannot export your cash crop, you are on your own. So that is not under which system, because the system allow those who have the power of money to oppress those that don't have. So it allows exploitation of the rich of the poor by the rich. So that is not the kind of system that favors CSO. But then we can team together, just like some people are trying to form coalition. If those who are politically inclined can team up and move to a political party and influence decision in that with their share number. But the public they have to convince are also looking forward to what they can get before they can cast their vote. That is what doesn't provide enabling environment for CSO to failed candidate. They don't have the kind of money that it requires. So basically that. Now if you look at all of that, the challenges, of course, there are several challenges. Those that are in power, Dele, I mentioned it, Shehu Sani, lone voice in the wilderness, and several of them. Because there are too many people in the Senate today. If Shehu Sani speaks, how many people are ready to support him? And they are, as long as they can be overwhelmed, by the so-called tyranny of the majority, there's nowhere they could go. So even if you sponsor them, they will dissolve into it. And that is why you don't find even activists like Professor Adeyeye, Shola Adeyeye, who criticized the bogus salary that the National Assembly were paid, could not walk out when they are taking all these anti-people positions. Why? Because they also feel that it is a fertile ground to make themselves relevant and so on and so forth. I don't want to use negative words. And those who have become governors, what have they been able to do? Kayode Fayemi was in Ekiti State. Yes, he tried to make some certain impact, but then you have so many political bigwigs who will not allow him to move the way he wanted to move. When Femi Ojudu and the rest of them were in the Senate, what were they able to do? Opeyemi Bamidele used to be a student union leader. What impact was he able to do to make when he was in the House? So when you sponsor those that we have sponsored in the past, they ended up dissolving into the system that we are criticizing, and that is why we became lethargic at sponsoring people. We have some of them in local government level and the rest of them. So those are some of the challenges. Now, we can actually save the people by not going into politics. If we had not allowed the state to infiltrate, the foremost coalition that worked, that's a campaign for democracy, we will have been able to move the people to the Eldorado, political Eldorado by now. The CDHR, that's the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, when it was formed in 1989, I was the first secretary, and Beko was the first chairman. Now, we meant that by 10th year, we will have formed a unit in every street in this country, so that when we sneeze, in Lagos, everywhere we catch cold. But what happened? They infiltrated us through the CD, and when CD broke, CDHR also broke, and we have not been able to put ourselves together again. Gradually we are moving towards that. Now, if all of these CSOs, forget it that some of them have caved into the lure of material accumulation, which we call primitive accumulation. Many of them have accumulated so much material wealth that they can no longer struggle the way struggle ought to be waged. But what can we do? Those that still believe in the struggle can still team up and form a central coalition all over the country, that will move all over the country, not for immediate political gains, but to work towards what we demanded for in the 80s, sovereign national conference. I tell you, if you don't have sovereign national conference, we'll just be deceiving ourselves. Nothing will work in this country, because every part of the country will not be having the feeling of belonging to the union. And if the union is bad, then if there's no sense of belonging, if there's no sense of belonging, everybody will only be tolerating one another.
Sure, we do.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. My name is Akin. Good evening, Father God.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing that we are discussing this morning.
Thank you.
And you reminded me of the struggle of those that we assume to be our mentors, people like Beko and Stella in the 70s.
That's right.
But unfortunately, things have changed as they have enumerated.
That's right.
As they have analyzed, things have changed. Wealth has set in. Money now rules everybody. Everybody wants to be rich overnight. And that's why we have so many people laundering money in billions, not even in millions,
That's right.
as it used to be. But I pray that with time, things will change.
Absolutely.
How it's going to change, I don't know. But that with God in heaven, we'll get it right. Because I wonder how many of us will willingly want to lay our lives down for the country now, with the rest of things. Even the so-called people that you have mentioned that went to the house, like and school and so on, we saw they could not do anything. They are the majority are the bad people that are ruling us now. I wonder how we're going to overtake them with the minority. But with God, it's going to be possible somehow. So I think right now we have to start working on faith and reduce the rate at which you use our physical strength. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Well, we can salvage ourselves.
Okay, let's add because there
Hello,
are so
good
many
morning.
Hello.
people. Hello, there are so many people. Morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
This is Ayodo from Ayodo.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, the guest in the house.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
I have listened to you and you have spoken very well.
Thank you.
But I'd like to probably ask 3 questions. In the first instance, you mentioned that many of those who are in the coalition are people that have failed in contesting political office in the past. Are we saying that makes them ineligible to to lead this coalition. I'm talking about the other side, not the Baboba Sonjo coalition, the one by Agbakoba. So are we saying that because the people have rejected them, because that is the way I see it, the people have rejected them in the past, because many of them are seasoned professionals who have shown their value in a number of their profession. So the fact that they have gone into politics and they've been rejected, is that making them ineligible to lead this coalition? That is my first question. Then the second one is that you have mentioned also that many of the people that have led activists in the past, Akaba Shoron, Abeko, Ganisaweni, they were people who were contented. And now we have a lot of celebrities. I mean, the remnant of the people in the middle class can be said to be either celebrities or professionals who are also contented. But the question is that the kind of insecurity we have in the nation and even in the political terrain, do they have the resources to secure themselves jumping into such insecure terrain? That is the second question. Then the third one is the CSO. I mean, I think a number of them are trying. But can we say categorically that Nigerians can rely on CSO?
All right, thank you. 2 minutes.
Do they still have the integrity?
Thank you.
Hello.
Let's start that, please. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dele.
Thank you. Morning.
Good morning, Chienye. Good morning, the resource person. My name is Olushola Johnson.
Okay.
Yes. There was a time I said confusion is going to break bone in this country. And how do I mean? You see, the writer of that long epistle should be ignored because he has written his epistle to cause confusion.
Sorry, we are not talking really. Please, let's move away from the letter. We are not looking at letter or the writer.
I'll go to it now. When you were governing, nobody disturbed their governance, including the evil genius himself. Nobody disturbed their governance because by the time you said you are advising either the evil genius, you are plotting a coup, and you advise the epistle writer, you'll be followed by EFCC. So what I'm saying, these people are a group of people that have siphoned this country, and they still want to continue doing it. Thereby, what they'll do is to cause confusion so that the masses will be confused. This is what they are trying to do into this country, and I call on Nigerians to wake up and reject whatever move in the name of any coalition that involves people that have ruled this country or this state or any of the states in Nigeria. Even a minister, we should reject them because by the time you think they are very good people, you follow them, you find out that it is the same person they are, they start ripping you. For how long are the people of
Thank you. Let's add messages to it. We'll again move away from the telephone. Let's add messages. Debo Adeniran will respond. Please, we are not looking at any letter today. Please.
Okay, we got this tweet from Yemi Phillips Da Vinci. I want to make tears. Okay, you made tears come out of my eyes this morning with the evocation of great names. You have paid various amounts of price for the freedom, and many elected officials now peace on. The betrayal of Pascal Bafiao is too painful, and when you now join it with that of Onoguruwa and Topsy, it's a shame they're on the wrong side of history. Professor Agbola AAA also tweeted, many of the most referred activists, whether dead or alive, were products of campus unionism. But what do we have today? Students, politicians. Do we still have human rights activists in Nigeria? And many of them have joined the ruling class and they have been silenced. Too bad. Those were tweets from Professor Agbola AAA. Oluwaseyi Emmanuel also tweeted, please, Mr. Debo, how can we move away from the capitalist political terrain for which Nigeria plays its politics to attain a goal of greater heights in Nigeria? The proletariat and bogus saga of our political system. Again, that's a tweet from Oluwaseyi Emmanuel. Yemi Da Vinci tweeted again, it's a shame that people like a certain senator. Okay, in my own opinion, as the evil genius military regime was using Pascal to decimate the struggle, it was also destroying the future of the struggle by infiltrating student union movements. So we have no good replacements for our activists. Those are the tweets for now.
Okay, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. First and foremost, I didn't say those who have contested and failed could not form a coalition and they could not lead the people. But what I said that they are starting at the wrong end of the journey, because if the activists, of course, I knew that many of them have contested elections, they didn't make it. They have formed political parties, they couldn't make it. I know that. Party Tomi is one of them, and several other ones like that. So now, what we need is a brand new constitution that will emanate from the people. The constitution we are operating today was not there when Baba Olusegun Obasanjo contested election in 2000 and in 1998, 1999. So it wasn't there when the election took place, and it was actually in power before the constitution, the ground norm of the state is going to run, came to being. So basically, that constitution was just contrived and foisted on the people.
The constitution came before Obasanjo.
Before the constitution was not there. It came after he had won the election, So it was in the works during that period. But because Abdulsalami Abubakar just wanted to take whatever he wanted, he could lay his hand on and move on, and he just allow those things to happen that way. Now, so this coalition could have been better if they reenact, what had been done in the days of CD. As a matter of fact, many of them, Odisa Agbakoba, Lawale Okunoyi, Nasir Kura, Party Tomi, all of them were part of the CD, Campaign for Democracy. And if they wanted, it is not on the political turf, because those that form capitalist, political parties, the bourgeois political parties, will not allow them to rise. They are the ones that have constituted all the authorities that have to register them, authorities that have to monitor the election, authorities that have to monitor their own resources. It is easier for them to decimate, all their sources of resources, than for them to contest election. They will not allow them to get anywhere. To move the people will be doubly difficult. You know what? Many of the grassroots people have been penetrated. Their mind has been, conditioned to believing in that they have to be paid before they cast their vote and before they even go out for rallies and all that. They have their minds, the minds of the grassroots, and it is not their own fault, because certain people have used, poverty to ravage the life of the people at the grassroots, and because of the limit of their awareness, they couldn't have done otherwise than to succumb to the pressure from the political class. So that is the only reason why the activists cannot win for now, because if they go to the same field where that has been monetized, people will prefer to ask for money than what to know about their political turf. Then when you talk about celebrities, yes, many celebrities are going into politics. Many of them have failed, many of them succeeded. But those who have succeeded, what have they been able to do? They are like activists. Then when you talk about the dangerous environments that the politics are provided for them, of course, they also know that so they know what it takes. They provide their own security. They have all the security apparatus. They have bouncers. They have bodyguard, they have everything that it takes, because they make mega bucks. You remember that the last regime actually gave them about $200 million, to play with. These are the celebrities that go, that are sponsoring elections, and they are going into elections themselves. When you talk about CSO, the Nigerian case is different to the extent that many betrayers, like I spoke about in the past, has brought CSOs to their knees, and many of those, the activists have been co-opted into the club of bourgeoisie. They have capitulated, and that they could not find themselves again. Many of the student unions of yesterday are now bourgeois politicians today. And when you go to campuses and you see what student unions, how student union government are being run, you discover that it's not it's not different from the way government outside is being run. So basically, CSOs cannot do better than the society finds itself, but we can put our hearts together. For those that are still committed, they can still put their heart together to form that central coalition that is not politically inclined for now. They can have political agenda for the future, but the present agitation should be towards having a kind of sovereign national conference where everybody will participate in the debate that will lead to the enactment of new set of ground norm, which is constitution of the country. So yes, there are a lot of confusion. As a matter of fact, many of us, of today's activists, don't even know what activism means. So they just thought that it is about making certain noise, going to police station and tell the police that they are activists and that they can do and undo. Many of them do not. The first precondition for revolution is mass education, and the second is the commitment of the people and ensuring that the people are converted by the explanation, by the breakdown of the jargons that deceive them in the earlier years into simple languages they can understand, so that they will know that they are actually suffering. The suffering of the people, because some people don't even know that they can enjoy life better because they have never enjoyed life better. And that is the reason why fellas sang that song, Suffering and Smiling, because people didn't even know, riding mole 99 sitting, 49 sitting, 99 standing, that they are suffering. No, they don't know that they are suffering. That they hang on top of trains when they move, they didn't see are suffering. So because they have not enjoyed life better. But if the activists want to do their job well, they should explain to them what happens in other land. They should explain to them in the earlier days of Nigeria how life was, even when then we were still saying it was difficult, but it was far better than what we have today. Buses, public buses, are very comfortable for the people. You don't have all this traffic on the road. Healthcare dispensaries is in every village. If you are falling sick, they take you to dispensary, they give you medicine, and they take you to secondary and tertiary health institutions if your ailment is beyond dispensary. So basically, most of it is free of charge. Ayodo started free education, and he was going on with it. Till when some of us got out of school in 1990, we were paying 19 naira for the whole season. The session for the whole academic session. So the confusion is there because people don't understand their own environment, and the politicians are using esoteric language to deceive the people until the activists pick up the gauntlet to explain, to break down all these scary languages to ordinary people to understand. Then those who have tears on their eyes, yes, tears will always come if you have feelings, because emotion actually makes humanity. You have to display emotions, let people know that these sufferings can stop and you want to do something about it. And if they don't allow you to do something about it, cry unto them that, look, your life can be better lived, and maybe it will convert.
We have a whole lot of messages.
Okay.
Okay, we got this one from Dele Oyegunle. Credible candidates like Debo Adeniran and lawyer Agboke will not show interest in political activities. Unfortunately, they are either lukewarm or are cornered by government. Once identified, please go and represent your people wherever you are from. Dele Oyegunle is suggesting that. Then we move to the next one. Agitations through activism are suppressed these days because of lack of commitment on the part of the activists, selfishness, poverty, unemployment, government coercive apparatus, lack of good sponsorship from credible leaders. It is time CSOs sponsor individual candidates as a major alternative. This is from Tunde Omolaolu. Then we move to the next one from Ikechukwu Olisa. Enough of all this coalition, because none of them will take Nigeria to the promised land. As for me, I think that the youths who can see vision should take over from the old ones who only dream dreams. That's from Ikechukwu Olisa. The man in the studio has spoken very well. Gone are the days of true coalition groups, likes of Nadeco formed in good faith then, and then upcoming in recent from Babo OBJ and Co. for the people's interest. It will end up as political parties. The ones claim to have quit politics. Why then form a party in disguise? It will quite be if the group turns to a political party and it's just sweet talk. At least it will be in control on the ground. That was sent in by Ajay. Then we have more tweets via the Twitter handle. Yemi Da Vinci tweeted, "You can never know a true activist until when he or she gets to a position of power in government. We could see what the likes of Adams Oshomole, Ruben Abati, Mike Osekome became after having their stints in governance. Everybody is just looking for an opportunity." Yemi Phillips Da Vinci tweeted, "I like the name for the people who are doing activism to become visible so that they can get pecuniary gains from appointments. They are not activists." Still more tweets from Yemi Da Vinci. "I agree with Comrade Debo. Sponsoring activists to political office is a zero-sum game in a monetized political environment. If they lose, they're dispirited. And if they win, they become part of them." Edo State case referred to. The work of an activist this day is much tougher than in the 80s and 90s because we have a rent economy now. And then most media houses and personnel will ask for anything before giving you access to voice their concerns. Bibi Naija also tweeted, "How I wish this enlightenment can continue because some of the so-called politicians are still fooling some youths who allowed them to be fooled." Then another tweet from Yemi Phillips Da Vinci. "A certain senator who likes singing and dancing can claim to be former student union leaders, but he now prides himself as ostentatious display of questionable wealth." Okay, that's the tweet from Phillips Da Vinci. And then still from him again, "Cash TVists." I said cash TVists, okay? The activists we have now turn out to be cash TVists. Okay, those are the tweets we have for now.
All right, a whole lot of the where will you start from?
Well, I should just say that yes, everybody has spoken well. We have addressed the question of why we cannot sponsor candidates because the system does not provide, a level playing field. If you find level playing field for the political actors, they are not, equally kitted. And if one is better kitted than the other, those that are better kitted will win the race. And the race, that they won the race doesn't mean that they will do what the people want. So what we are advocating is that there should be system change. And the system should provide that opportunity for the people to determine what every political party should implement in their manifesto, and that it should make it compulsory for every political party to implement whatever they put in their manifesto for which people voted for them. A situation whereby parties will promise to build bridge where there's no water, and they will justify it why they didn't build the bridge at the end of the day should no longer arise. Like I said, it should also keep upper limits of how things could be done. There are several other activists that we couldn't mention. Yes, it reminded me of Nadeco. We have several unsung heroes like Ayo Padokun, Huru, Ayo Adibanjo, Paris, Alfred Iwani of blessed memory, Kudirat Abiola, and the rest of them. So yes, we have those committed souls because they were contented then. The reason why people are no longer contented is because the system allow unbridled accumulation, unbridled primitive accumulation. You accumulate wealth you cannot explain. So people want to join the rank of people like that. Then coalitions can never be enough, because it is better we pool our resources together to fight the fights of the people rather than fight alone. Fight alone, die alone it is. So if we can pool our resources together, chart a course for ourselves, determine what the minimum agenda should be, and pursue that minimum agenda based on the understanding of every coalition member, then the system will move forward. What is our minimum agenda? We want good list of life for everybody. We want to eat 3 times daily. We want our children to have access to education and healthcare services. We want good road to move on. We want power to run our factories and our industries and our conveniences at home. We want a roof over our head. We want clothing on our back. We want, just little things that will make us live, full and comfortable life. That is the minimum agenda. If any government provides that for the people and it's not going to make user cost a scary cost, then, and make businesses profitable for those that do it, those who earn salary, to ensure that the salary is able to take care of their personal and social needs, then what will people be asking for? There won't be Boko Haram, there won't be militancy, there won't be OPC, because if you have a profitable job at hand, you want to think that your assets, what you have put together in that place will be destroyed if you allow war to break out. And for those who are fomenting trouble, they will think twice that the law will be implemented. If those that have committed sins are put behind the walls, they will also think twice. And we have also made recommendations for those who plunder the resources of this country, that when they are caught and they are convicted, and we only hope that the judiciary and the legislature will strengthen the justice system in Nigeria and ensure that those who committed sin against the people are convicted. Once they are convicted, they should be put in special cells where their names will be written on their back, and students of schools will be made to pay a visit to them in the prison.
We must be packing our things. We just have a minute. Let us do that 1 minute.
To take this message,
the message.
How can we have the Sovereign Natural Conference when the activists are no longer active as in the days of Gani Fawehinmi, Olisa Agbakoba? Okay, this is a question from Eric Irieme from Elewero.
Okay, I would like to answer that. The Sovereign National Conference is not as difficult to organize as you are talking about. What we have advocated at the level of CACO is that the process will start from the individual. The individual will take a decision on his own, confer with his family. The family will confer with the community will confer with the local government, and so on to the federal constituency, senatorial districts, then to states. Now, the states will now send their representatives to the Sovereign National Conference. Sovereign National Conference will run the government during the time the period it lasts. And so the decision there will not be tampered with by anybody. And that will be
Unfortunately, we will have lost sense of belonging. Continue with it. But don't worry, the debate can continue on the different social platforms. The WhatsApp page is there. Just let's get engaged in those discussions. They are very important. We thank you very much, Debo Adeniran from Bako, coming all the way from Lagos to be a part of this building of a strong nation. For us, again, we say thank you.
It's my pleasure.
With your team, we just wish you a safe journey back to Lagos. Tomorrow will be fresh here with another topic. Dele Ayodo is my name. I say God bless you all. God bless Nigeria and God bless Rock City.
And I am Chienye. Good morning and thank you for always staying tuned.